guys, what's up? My name is Jimena, and today we're going to be talking about recycling and the proper way to do it and why it is important. But before we get into it, I just wanted to remind you to subscribe if you have not already, because I will be posting every Wednesday until the end of the year. So if you want to get notified or see these videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And also, don't forget to check out our podcast called Talk Climate Change to Me, which premieres on this channel, as well as Spotify and iTunes, in case you want to just listen to the audio version of it. But anyways, without further ado, let's just jump into the video. And so we will be discussing why recycling is super important, and we are going to be talking about some of the most commonly misrecycled items and why it is important that we learn the proper ways to do it. And this video is not to shame anybody who has been improperly recycling at all. It's to educate you guys and get you guys to properly recycle, because it's really important, and improperly recycling is actually why we are in such a bad epidemic. Yes, it is the industry's fault for all of the stuff that's been happening, but it's also our fault for misrecycling items. And why China stopped taking all of our garbage is because we were never properly educated on the ways to recycle, and that's why we were sending them. That's not the only reason we were sending them garbage. That's where the industries take the fault. But by not properly recycling, we decrease the value of the stuff that we were sending them. So in order to increase the value and make recycling profitable, we are going to be discussing that stuff. So let's just get into it. If you've never heard of the term MRFs before, it stands for Materials Recycling Facilities. And what these are is essentially when your recycling gets picked up from your house, it goes onto the truck, and those trucks drive to these MRFs. That is where all of your recycling is separated. The items that can be recycled goes totally off of size and shape rather than the type of plastic that it is. First off, they separate the cardboard from the plastic, and typically glass is in a separate pile, but if for some reason you mix in glass with your recycling, I guess that would go in there too. And so from then the plastic is sorted by weight, by size, and it is picked out by hand. And this is by no means in any way, shape, or form the most efficient way to recycle, but it is the system that we have to work with right now until we can push for something better, which ideally everything should be like separated initially. But today we're discussing our current system and how to work with it. So the reason that it's really important to properly recycle is because people are sorting these by hand, and so if you don't clean out your recycling, it goes into the landfill automatically, and usually too many improperly recycled items just get thrown away. They don't even like go through the process, because why bother if there's like dirty diapers in there, or just if it's visually not a good mix and not a clean mix, it's not worth it for the people to sit there and sort through them, because you have to think about put yourself in the position of the workers at these facilities. If there's too many people that are leaving it up to them to do it, it's not going to get done. It's just going to go in the garbage, because there is a percentage of people. There was a study done. I'll put the graphic here now. There is a percentage of people that just leave the responsibility of correctly sorting things to the people at the facilities, even if they don't know if it's recyclable or not, which please don't do that. We haven't even gotten to the most common recycling mistakes, but like, don't do that. Either look up if that item is recyclable or don't do it. But anyways, let's jump into the most commonly recycled items. One of the biggest things is make sure that you clean out your recycling. For example, and I say this because I always have to clean out mine. If you have cans of food, particularly for me, it's either cat or dog food, you always want to clean them out. Because one, if you put them in the recycling right away, like, that's disgusting. But also imagine like all the rats that get like that surround these facilities because they think there's food there. Like, that's gross. So make sure that you clean out your recycling before you put it in the bin, because that is the best way to ensure that it will actually get recycled. And make sure to educate people around you that you think are misrecycling and let them know to clean out their recycling before they toss it in the bin. Just rinse it out real quick. I'm not saying like put soap and water and everything. Just rinse it out really good and like you're good. The smallest effort. Also, you don't actually need to take off labels before you toss things in the garbage. I know a lot of people think that you do, but you don't. So if you needed a time saver in putting things in the recycling, there you go. You don't have to take off the labels. And a good rule of thumb is that if it's smaller than a sticky note, it's typically not recycled. They do have that rule of nothing under 6 ounces because smaller items do tend to clog their machines, and that is why they have certain restrictions on other items that typically, like, the recycling type would say that it is recyclable. That's why they have other restrictions, because while that specific material is recyclable, if it's going to clog up their systems, it's a no. For example, plastic bags, which we'll get into in just a second. I know you do this out of good faith, but do not put your recycling in plastic bags. Those plastic bags clog up the machines and they are not typically recyclable at these facilities. If you do want to recycle your plastic bags, however, many grocery stores do have big boxes in the front that say you can recycle your plastic bags there, and you can just take them to the grocery store. Do not put them in the typical recycling bin. Do not put them in the garbage, please. Take them to a grocery store. For me personally, every grocery store that I've been to, I've seen these boxes. So go to your local grocery store and make sure that this is the same for you, because I don't know where you live and I don't know if they have those there. So check it out there first, because that is typically where you will find places to recycle plastic bags. So the next one is, and I have a prop here to show you. So this is a plastic soap bottle, and clearly it's not done, so I'm not tossing this out anytime soon. But if I was, the proper way to do this is to take the cap off, because as you can see, this is a different type of plastic. There's that white part in there, that's a different type of plastic. The metal part in there and this top part, different types of plastic. This itself cannot be recycled, but the bottle can. So if I was to recycle this, I would rinse out the bottle real quick and take the cap off. And this goes for any sort of bottle that has a cap with multiple different types of plastic on it, especially dispensing bottles. So if it was just a typical, like just a screw cap, I've seen different things online. Some say that you should take them off. Some say that the facilities don't care. You should definitely look it up for your specific facility, but otherwise just throw the cap in the trash and throw the bottle in your recycling if you're not sure. That's the best way to do it. Don't throw your cap in there because it's less than 6 ounces and it will not get recycled. It could clog up the machine. So double check with your local recyclers, but if you want to err on the side of caution, just take the cap off and throw it in the garbage. Yeah, and so now we are going to play a little game of what is recyclable and what is not. So I am going to not talk, and I'm going to show you 2 pictures on the screen, and you are going to have 3 seconds to decide, are they recyclable or are they not recyclable? And then I will show you the answer, of course. So first up, newspaper and glossy paper. Cereal boxes and freezer boxes. Clamshells and yogurt containers. Empty bleach bottles and coffee cups. I hope that was helpful. Real quick, I'm just going to go through a small list of other things that you should not be recycling at all. So first up is light bulbs. Shredded paper, too small, it will clog the machines. Dirty boxes of any kind, specifically pizza boxes, are not recyclable. I know they are cardboard, but they are also greasy, and that is not recyclable. And also takeout containers, same reason as pizza boxes, they're dirty, they're not recyclable. And lastly, I can't believe that this was on the list. Like, obviously, it's a lot of people that are doing this, or else it wouldn't have made so many lists. Do not put dirty diapers in the recycling. Dirty diapers are not recyclable. Think of the workers at these facilities that have to deal with that. That's disgusting. That's a good way to get all of the recycling on your street contaminated and sent to the landfill. Like, good job. Sorry, we're not shaming, we're educating, but like, that's disgusting. Like, I don't know where you could have even gotten the impression that dirty diapers could be recycled, because there's no, even if they didn't have poop in them, there's no part of it that is recyclable. So again, do not put dirty diapers in the recycling bin. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Do not recycle batteries. Batteries and all types of electronic waste has their own process that they have to go through to get recycled. So maybe try Best Buy, or if you see those containers where it says that you can recycle batteries, go for that. Do not put them in your recycling bin, because they will not get processed. They will end up in the landfill, and that's not a good place for batteries to be. All of that aside, I just want to end this on a note of why all of this is so important. So, as I have talked about before, we as the consumers have a lot of power collectively to shift markets. So I've said this before, veganism has shifted the markets. They have made organic farming a bigger thing because of their demand for it. They have increased the market for plant-based food options, not only plant-based milks, but also plant-based protein sources, I guess I should say, like faux meat and all of that stuff. And that has all been done because of the increasing demand for it. So if we demand something, and if we show that this is what we want, then of course the markets are going to follow. And so you've probably seen advertisements for things that are like 100% recyclable, like notebooks. I think Vans, it was either Vans or Converse also did like a thing. They might have both done it, I'm not sure. There's also brands that are like specifically 100% recyclable clothing, all of that stuff. And it's good to have this as a sticking point, because if we continue to invest our money into these products, we are telling the markets that we are more into reusing recyclables than we are creating new raw materials. And so a big thing that we can do to push this is both invest in those products and properly recycle, because by properly recycling, we are increasing the amount of clean recyclable material that these MRF facilities have to sell to their investors, because that is how these facilities are funded. Their value comes from how much clean material they can get and the demand for these products. So some things like glass is always recycled. So they will always have a demand for glass facilities to do it. But in order to get more and more investors to fund these curbside recycling programs, we need to recycle better. We need to change the markets so that our recyclables become more valuable, because unfortunately where we are right now, a lot of things are ending up in the garbage. We don't have good infrastructure in our recycling programs, and they are taking funding away because they don't see value in continuing to recycle, and they see more value in just dumping them in the landfill because they can't get as much money as they could from China prior to this ban. And so we need to make recycling more valuable by giving them cleaner material to work with. And that is going to cut back their costs of having to like shift through all of like misrecycled, unclean garbage pretty much. And we are instead going to be giving them products that they can use, recycle, and sell to their vendors and increase the profits for them. And like, it sucks because everything does revolve around money at the end of the day. Like if they don't have funding to collect all of this recycling, it's not going to get collected, and instead it's just going to go straight into the landfill. So if we can do our part as best as possible to properly recycle our materials, and if we continue to invest our money in products that are made of completely recyclable materials, we are going to be sending a very strong message to markets out there that we want you to reuse our plastic, and we are going to encourage more curbside recycling programs. Like at the same time that we are encouraging markets to shift away from using plastics, we could also ourselves go from this to plastic, where we could just keep buying the bulk soap to put in here. And so, yeah, by the way, you can't control what the people that you live with buy, because I already had this and somebody bought this. Just saying. But you can encourage, and here we are. But anyways, I hope that the message was clear, that we need to look for alternatives to things, because if you think of the slogan reduce, reuse, recycle, recycle is the third step. We want to reduce our use of these single-use items to more not single-use, I don't know, to more sturdy items. We want to continue to reuse items as much as we possibly can, and then we want to properly recycle the items that we are going to be throwing away by, for example, again, if I was going to recycle this, take the cap off, rinse it out real quick, toss it in the recycling bin, and hopefully don't buy this again. But yeah. Alright guys, but that is it from me today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that I taught you something about recycling, because it is honestly, it may feel like we are powerless as one person, but collectively we can shift markets, and it's really important that we prioritize reducing and reusing our items before recycling, because there's just so much waste out there in the world, and the stuff that we do recycle, it's important that we recycle it properly. And so I really hope that you hopefully learn something about the proper ways to recycle from this video, and that you take it and you use this in your everyday life. And if you know somebody who needs help with recycling, send them this video so that they can learn to recycle properly. But yeah, that will be all from me today. So give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and if you learned something, and don't forget to go hug a tree and tell it that you love it. Anyways, I will see you guys next week with another video. So bye.